Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and very good day. So today we continue with the next subtopic in chapter 4, which is lipid and health. So if we eat too little fats, it will cause our body to have deficiencies in fatty acid, especially for essential fatty acids such as omega-3, omega-6. Okay, and if we the fat intake of our body is too much, it will develop a certain bad or negative effect whereby it associated with the chronic diseases such as cardiovascular disease, cancer, and obesity. Okay, in previous subtopic, we learned about the classification of the fatty acid. So fatty acid can be divided into two, right? Saturated and unsaturated fatty acid. So if you remember, there is a different effect of saturated fatty acid and unsaturated fatty acid. So if we eat a lot of saturated fatty acid, so it will raise blood cholesterol and increase the risk of heart disease and stroke. So which is not good for our health. So we have to reduce the intake of saturated fatty acid, or to avoid, we have to limit the intake of saturated fatty acid from our diet. So for the diet which is high in unsaturated fatty acid, which is good for our health, so it's usually associated with a lower level of bad cholesterol and it reduces the risk of heart disease. So in order for us to stay healthy, so we have to eat a lot of unsaturated fatty acids such as vegetable oil, olive oil. Okay, so this unsaturated fat is very good for our health to maintain our heart in a good condition. Okay, diet high in fats from animal-based product also increase risk for heart disease and certain type of cancer. So we usually eat a lot of fat, which is from plant-based. Okay, for example, unsaturated fat, they usually come from vegetable or other plant-based food. Okay, so diet high in processed fat. Did you remember about the configuration? There are two types of fat, okay, based on the configuration, cis and trans fats. So actually processed food or processed product can increase trans fat in the food content. So if we eat a lot of processed food or processed fat, it will increase the risk of having a problem which is heart disease or other chronic diseases. Okay, diet in unsaturated fat, okay, which is good for our health, seem to be protective. So in reducing the risk of having any chronic diseases such as heart disease, we have to eat a lot of unsaturated fat, which is good fat. Okay, now we look at the function of lipid in the body. So most lipid are stored in adipose tissue as triglyceride. Did you remember the structure of the triglyceride? Okay, so this is the triglyceride structure. So it consists of 3 fatty acid and 1 glycerol. Tri means 3. Okay, tri means 3. Yeah? So they have 3 fatty acid and 1 glycerol and become triglyceride. So most commonly food lipid that enter our body, and the excessive fat will be stored as triglyceride in adipose tissue. So one of the function of lipid is to lubricate the body surface. So your body surface become not so dry. No? Okay, so important. It also important for structural component of cells. For example, if you remember the membrane cells, it consists of the phospholipid bilayer. So lipid is very important to form a new cell whereby it is the main component in the cell membrane. Okay, cholesterol and fatty acid are used to synthesize regulatory molecules and also provide fat-soluble vitamins such as A, D, E, K. So in the next topic, we will learn about the vitamin that dissolve in fat. So if we want to increase the absorption of the ADEK, the vitamin, so we have to eat with fat, okay, with food contain fat. So fat is important because it provides fat soluble vitamin. Okay. Okay, as I said earlier, one of the function of lipid is to lubricate the body surface. Okay, so it is important to regulate the body temperature so that if you enter any rooms or place that having too hot or too cold, so this lipid will insulate the body from the changes of the temperature. So lipid also provide cushion to protect against shocks. For example, in our internal organ, we have lipid that protect the internal organ from uh, having injury if we involved in any shock or any accident. Okay. Other than that, lipid also important for structural components such as cell membrane. Okay, phospholipid bilayer, which is the main component of the cell membrane is lipid. Okay, so lipid also important for regulatory roles. Okay, for example, the essential fatty acid must be consumed in diet omega-3 and omega-6. Okay, so omega-6 is important for growth, skin integrity, fertility, okay, and also maintaining the red blood cell structure. For the omega-3, it is important for the structure and function of cell membrane, okay, particularly in our eyes, okay, retina, and also the cell membrane of central nervous system. Okay, if you remember our neuron, okay, which is the basic unit of the nervous system, okay, the neuron structure consists of myelin sheath. Myelin sheath is actually from the lipid. Okay, so other function of lipid is to provide energy. If you remember, there are three or four main source of energy: carbohydrate, protein, and also lipid. So lipid can provide energy to our body. Okay, triglyceride can be used for fuel. Okay, triglyceride can be stored in edible tissue, and stored triglyceride can be used for energy when it's needed. Okay, now we look at the association between dietary fat and cancer. So diet high in fat and low in fiber and plant foods are correlated with the incidence of cancer. For example, breast cancer. So a study showed that there is a significant correlation between breast cancer and intake of high fat and low fiber intake in the diet. Okay, for colon cancer, it also associated with a high fat intake, low fiber diet, and diet which is high in saturated fat from red meats. Okay, so you can see this very clear. So this is our healthy arteries. Okay, so if we do a cross section, okay, so you can see the connective tissue, okay, the smooth muscle cells and cells that line the artery. So this is the lumen of the artery where the blood will flow in the arteries. So you can see the lumen of healthy artery is wider compared to this. So this is actually refer to the not so healthy arteries because it have like fatty stick. So the artery wall become wider. So lumen become narrow. Okay, narrow down. So blood that deposited in the lumen in the arteries will narrow down the size of the lumen so that less or reduce the amount of blood to the heart. Okay, how to protect our heart? So there is some tip for you. We have to eat a lot of omega-6 fat acid because it will lower down the LDL level in the blood. So LDL is a good lipoprotein. Okay, apart from that, omega-3 fatty acid also good for reducing LDL cholesterol level in the blood. Okay, unsaturated fat also decrease LDL cholesterol, and plant food which contain fiber and antioxidants. So fiber is very important because it also related with the heart or cancer because low fiber intake will increase the risk of having cancer. So antioxidant is actually referred to agent that reduce the cancer. So also good to protect our heart from having diseases. Okay, look at this bar chart. Okay, so this bar chart is important to know the source of unsaturated fat. So there are variety of food that contain unsaturated fat. Unsaturated fat is good to reduce heart disease or any chronic diseases. Okay, example of source of unsaturated fat is soft oil. Soft oil contain a lot of fat, which is good fat, unsaturated fat, about 14 grams. Okay, olive oil also have a lot of unsaturated fat. It's equal to sunflower, which is 14 grams. And canola oil also have 14 grams of unsaturated fat acid. Okay, and sunflower seeds. Okay, it contains higher unsaturated fatty acid, which is 16 gram. Okay, almonds also have high unsaturated fat. Okay, so it is good for you to eat almond or other source of vegetable oil or plant-based oil during Hari Raya. Okay, during celebration we have almond london, so actually it contain a lot of unsaturated fat, which is good for you to have a snack such as almond. Okay, eggs also have good fat. Okay, unsaturated fat 10 gram. Beef liver, salmon, chicken breast. Okay, if we eat chicken, please select the breast part because it contains good fat, which is about 8 or 7 grams. Okay, remove the skin to reduce the bad fat, which is saturated fat. Cheddar cheese also contain fat, about 14. Okay, low fat yogurt. So oatmeal and white rice and whole wheat bread also have fat, which is a low fat content. Okay, let's look at this list. So this is the source of the bad fat. Okay, usually we eat fried food, which is contain a lot of trans fat, which is not good for our health. Okay, equivalent to unsaturated fat. Okay, fat with coconut oil, condensed milk, fast food. Fast food also contain a lot of trans fat, creamer, okay, so high in bad fat or saturated fat, which is not good for our health. High fat food and junk food. Okay, so we have to reduce the intake of these fat sources in our diet. Okay, the other tips to reduce the fat intake, which is bad fat in our diet, is to modify or change the preparation method, okay, of preparing the food. Okay, for example, okay, we reduce the intake of fried food. Okay, use a little bit of cooking oil during cooking process or preparation of food. Okay, next is to remove the skin or chicken skin before cooking, and use very little cooking oil. Okay, use the diluted coconut oil, or replace it with the low fat milk. Okay, we have to change the method of preparation to other methods such as boiling, okay, or we can grill, okay, to reduce the fried food. Okay, apart from that, if you able to cook without using cooking oil, so you can do that by using the non-stick pans. So in conclusion, high intake of saturated fat may raise blood cholesterol and increase the risk of heart disease and stroke, and a high diet in saturated is associated with lower level of blood cholesterol and reduce the risk of heart disease. So there are many options in our life. So if we eat a lot of saturated fat, we will get bad effect. Okay, if we eat a lot of unsaturated fat, so we will maintain a healthy body or heart. So there are so many things you have to choose the right. So better choose the right saturated fat. Okay, so you have to increase unsaturated fat intake and reduce saturated fat intake in our daily life. So with that, thank you for watching. Thank you for your kind attention. So I hope you learn a lot during this lecture. Thank you.